Hello everybody and welcome to this lecture. This is lecture 7 and in this lecture we're going to discuss how to create your own functions. In previous lectures we've learned how to use string functions and array functions. Now we want to learn how we can create our own to do the same types of things, or just be able to reuse them over and over again, so we're not constantly typing the same code over and over again. Okay, so let's jump right into things. So, to create a function, you start off by typing the word function. And then after that, you type the name of your function. You want to be careful with the name because you don't want to type something and not know if it's already a function. So you want to be a little specific with your function names. That way you don't try to overwrite one of the pre-existing functions that are already out there. So let's just create a function. We're going to call it first function. So you just type the name. So we have function and then first function. And then after first function, we're going to put an open and close parentheses and then a set of open and closing curly braces. Now, anything inside of the curly braces is the code that's going to be executed. But it'll only be executed when you call the function. So this is where we're defining what the function does. So let's just say we want to have our function just print out some text. So we can say hello buddy. So literally you tell it echo hello buddy inside of this code, inside of the curly braces. And if you went to your PHP file on your local server here, you're going to get nothing. There's nothing going to be here. That's because we haven't called the function. And like we did before, to call the function, you just type the function name out with the set of curly braces and then the semicolon at the end. So now if I go back to my PHP file here and refresh, since we called the function, we're going to get hello buddy to show up on the screen. Awesome. So now you can put more into here. So echo hello buddy and then how's it going? And if you refresh there, you're going to get both lines of text. Awesome. Now when you're dealing with functions like this, we typically don't want to have any output inside of the function. We want it to return the output, and then we want to be able to echo the output from the function call. So instead of using echo inside the function, we're going to use something called return. So return is what is going to be considered the output of the function that gets returned when we call the function. And so we can use this, we can set it to a variable, we can echo it out if it's echoable, stuff like that. So we would return hello buddy, how is it going? And now if I went back to my page and refresh, you're going to get a blank screen. That's because we've only returned this. So instead of just calling the function like it is here, put the word echo in front of it. So now we can echo what's being returned. So now I have echo first function, and now I'll get hello buddy, how is it going? So you could set that to a variable. So x equals the output of first function, and then you could do echo string to upper of x. So now you have hello buddy, how is it going in all capital letters. That's the basics of how to create a simple function that does something like this. Awesome. Now say you wanted to put that in a string. So hello buddy, how is it going? You would just simply return that variable, return string. And you're going to get the same output because all we did was we put hello buddy, how's it going inside of a string, and we return the string, so we're expected the same output. That's basically how to do a function with a return statement inside of it. Now, before, like this string to upper function, we pass in this parameter x. How do we go about creating a function with a parameter? Well, that's easy. So, inside of the two parentheses that we have here, what you do, you simply just type the name of the parameter. So we can call it string here. And let's just get rid of that. And now you can, in order to do whatever you want to this string, actually, let's make this name so it's a little more clearer. To use this variable, you're simply just going to call it by the name of the parameter that it's being defined as. So, let's make this say hello and then that person's name. So echo hello space, and then we're going to concatenate it with the variable name. So now, we want to return this. So now we can do echo first function, and then instead of just keeping the function call empty, we can put a name in. So I'll put my name, Marcus. And so now we have echo the return of this first function called with the parameter name equals Marcus. So now if I refresh, we're going to get hello Marcus. And you can do an infinite amount of parameters here. So let's say we have name, and then let's put a website. So hello name, and then your website is website. Okay. What if we forget to put in the website? Well, it's gonna throw a nice big error. We're missing the argument for the second parameter. So how do we fix that? You just put it in. So I'll just put ureddit.com. So now I'm echoing the return of our first function with the parameter Marcus and the parameter ureddit.com. So now if I refresh, hello Marcus, your website is http://ureddit.com. Awesome. Now, say not everyone has a website, but if you wanted to use this and default their website to something, to like Google or something, what you do in the function definition up here where the parameters are, you can assign website to equal to some default value, so you don't have to actually call it in. So I can put website equals ureddit.com, and I can get rid of this second parameter when we call our function. And so if I were to refresh, we're going to get the same result. It's because we're passing in ureddit.com as the default value. But if someone else had a different website, you could put that in, and it will know to take that value instead of the default value. So now I have hello Marcus, your website is Recck.com. So that's how you can do defined arguments. But you want to keep all of your defaulted arguments at the end. So you can't put this third argument after a default argument, because what if you forget, like, okay, they don't have a website. What if you don't forget? You can't put in this third argument, because you can't just skip an argument. You would actually have to go in and type the website, blah, XYZ, you'd have to put those 3 arguments in there. So you can't, you want to make sure to keep all your predefined, your defaulted arguments at the end of your argument list. Just so you don't run into errors where you might not have some website and then you forget to put the 3rd parameter in there. Or you think that it's going to default that 2nd parameter, and then after you put the 3rd parameter in, it thinks you won't expect it to know that we mean the 3rd parameter and not the website. So you should want to make sure when you create your own functions that we do it like that. So what if we had a function with no parameters that we wanted to still pass parameters to it, but we weren't sure how many parameters we were going to have? So say we have a list of names: Jerry, Sue. So we're passing in 3 parameters, but we don't actually have any parameters defined in our function definition here. Well, there's a way we can do that. What we want to do, there's a function called func_get_args. Okay, and that will actually look at the function call and be able to grab all the arguments from it. So we can create a variable here called args, and then we can just call that function like that. And this function actually returns an array. So if we wanted to, we can use a for each loop to go through this and do, let's create an empty string here. So we can loop through this for each args as arg, and then we'll concatenate string with hello and then that argument value and then a break. And then we can return string in the end. So now if I went ahead and echoed our first function with these 3 parameters, we should get hello Marcus, hello Jerry, and hello Sue. And as expected, we do. Awesome. Simple. Now say you passed in an array. You can pass in any type of data type into your function call. So now we have an array of names like so, and say we only expect 1 argument. So we can say if func num_args is greater than 1, then we can return invalid number of arguments. Else, now we want to check to see if the first argument is an array. So we have a function that can check to see if a variable is an array. So now since we checked, if it's greater than 1, that means there's at least 2. So we know there exists some first argument. So we can now check if isArray args of 0. Since I told you args, the func get args function is returned as an array, then else we can return not an array. So if it's not an array, we can return it's not an array. But if it is an array, okay, then let's just print R it like so. So now if I refreshed, it's going to tell us that's our array there that we passed in. But say we went and passed in another argument. Since it's greater than 1 now, it's going to tell you it's an invalid number of arguments. Awesome. But what happens if we don't pass in an array? And refresh, not an array. So that's function control. Simple, easy to do. So now you know how to get the number of arguments. Now you know how to access an array of arguments. And now you can create a function simple like this. So let's go ahead and teach you a few more things here that we can use with user-defined functions like we're doing here. The next thing we're going to learn how to do is how to pass a variable by reference. Now, when I say by reference, I mean when we pass the variable in, we can change it in the function, but after we echo that variable that we passed in, it's changed. We don't have to redefine it. We don't have to call the function and then assign that to a variable. It's going to reference that variable, and it's going to change that variable as it is, and it's going to return the same variable. So, when you want to pass a variable by reference into a function, before the parameter name, you're going to want to put an ampersand, which is the and sign. And then you just put the variable name, so name. So now we can manipulate this name variable. So what we can do, we can say name equals string to lower name. And we don't have to return it because since we're passing it by reference, it's going to just assume that it's going to be changed, and then when we go ahead and echo that variable name out in the end, it's going to be the result of what we have inside of the function. So let's say my name equals, and then I'll just type in funky case Marcus. And then we have this, we can call the function, we don't need the echo statement. And then if we echo my name, we should get my name in all lowercase letters. And we do. And it's cool because we didn't return the name variable from our function. Since we're passing it by reference, it's going to look at that location in memory, it's going to change that location in memory, and then anytime we access it, we're accessing it from the same point in memory, and so we're getting the result of that point in memory. So it's not creating a new variable, it's not blah blah blah, it's not doing anything. So that's how you can pass a variable by reference. So say we wanted to append something to the end of that is awesome. So inside the function we lowercase it, and then we add space is awesome to the name. So now if I were to go ahead and echo out my name, we get Marcus is awesome. Thank you. Cool. Now, last week when we went through the array lecture, I mentioned the function array map. Now, we can use our user-defined functions inside of the array map now. So let's get rid of all this. Let's get rid of this here. And let's just create this parameter called x. So say you wanted to do a math function or some kind of formula on an array of numbers, but you don't want to go ahead and retype that code for each number. So say you wanted to divide the number by 2 and then square it. So we know our function is going to be return x divided by 2, so that divides it by 2. But now how do we square it? Well, we have a math function called power, so POW, and then inside of that, first we put the number we want to square, and then the second parameter is the exponent. So we return the power of x divided by 2 squared. So we square that number, and now we have first function, which returns x divided by 2 squared. So let's create an array of numbers. So array 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we want to use that array map function, so we create new numbers, and we say array map. And remember, the first parameter is the function name, so we have first function, in quotes, and then the array, numbers. So what it will do, it'll go through the full array, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it will return a new value, that number divided by 2, and then squared. So now if I were to print our new numbers list and refresh our page, we're going to get the exact result. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, squared is 1. Okay. Now 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, squared 2 1/4. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2, squared is 4. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, squared 6.25. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3, squared is 9. So that's how you can use array map with your new defined function. So that's simple. How to pretty much create your own functions. That's your own functions in a nutshell. On Wednesday, we'll be covering how to do recursive functions, which is calling a function within the function. So stay tuned for that, and I'll talk to you guys on Wednesday. Bye-bye.